Edward Davidson had an odd fascination with pretending he was everyone but himself. The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, any of the young boys grappling in the alleyway between Palmer's dry goods and the sewing machine factory. The pop of flesh striking flesh brought him satisfaction. Shouldn't, but did. He stepped a few feet into the shaded alley for a better view of the performance. He'd been around their age, if he estimated correctly, when his beatings had started. Not the ones from his father. Those had started much earlier. The scraps he'd found himself in with the neighborhood boys had started at 10, though his brother Franklin had done his best to stop them before they began. Sometimes Franklin was successful. Most times, not. When not, Edward would pretend he was Franklin, the Robin Hood of New York City, risking his life for truth and justice. The smaller of the two boys in the alley stepped into a crater filled with muck, lost his balance and collapsed onto the filthy ground. The larger one rolled the kid onto his back and straddled him, pinning both arms to the ground. Both fists jabbed without mercy. Disappointment filled Edward. He never could save himself, but he was hoping this kid could. "That's enough." Edward's voice echoed off the brick buildings. He strode forward, dodging the filth, spine erect, his steps calculated to hide his limp. Punches continued flying, teeth bared. Hate of this caliber was hard to control. "I said enough." Edward grabbed the larger child and yanked him off the smaller. The child writhed on the ground, holding his face. "Are you trying to kill him?" Chest heaving, the bigger kid blinked. The haze of anger cleared, and clarity dawned. His skin was dirty, and he smelled as if he'd been wallowing in a hog pen. He pushed away from Edward and pointed at the injured boy. "That'll teach you to steal from me again." The smaller boy moaned. The attacker stepped away and assessed Edward's suit. Snot dripped from the boy's nose. He swiped it away with the back of his wrist. "You look like a man who could spare alms for the poor." Edward had to keep from slapping the kid. "I won't turn you over to the authorities for your misbehavior. That's alms enough." Snarling, the kid spit on Edward's polished shoe and ran from the alley before Edward could teach him respect. He uncurled his fists and flexed his fingers. The smaller child, still rolling on the ground, turned his face away and spit blood. It was a good thing Edward came upon the scuffle, or this one would have been left for dead. "What'd you steal from him?" Edward knelt on his good leg and helped the kid to a sitting position. "It was mine. He stole it from me." Blood garbled his voice, his lips already swelling double in size. "I wanted it back." Blood trickled from both nostrils. Bruises began darkening both eyes, one almost swollen shut. Edward placed his silk handkerchief in the kid's dirty hand. Uncertain why, he believed the boy. The child had a humbleness about him that the other did not. "What was it?" Edward studied the gash on the kid's right eyebrow. He'd be fine without stitches, but it would leave a scar. Edward was familiar with scars. "A ruby brooch." The kid coughed and spat more blood. His little hand reached inside his pocket and came out empty. He punched the ground. "It was all I had left of my mother." A single tear burst from the corner of the swollen eye and disappeared into the handkerchief. The loss transported Edward to the day he'd parted with his mother's precious heirloom. Merely a ribbon, it was gold to Edward, for the ribbon had secured his mother's braid when she'd rocked him to sleep. She would tickle his nose with the ends of her hair, and he'd laugh. Then she'd sing a lullaby, and her soothing voice would float him to a world of rest and peace.